What is up, everybody? Solomon here. I hope you guys are all having a fantastic start to your week. We have got a good amount of information to get through today. Essentially, IMF, which I had found this kind of heads-up document or article about what's going to be coming out from a research standpoint from the International Monetary Fund in September, taking digital currencies offline for inclusivity and banking the unbanked. Certainly something that we've heard before, but there's a lot that goes into that, and there's a lot of misconceptions, I believe, as well. Along with this document that I had found with Hedera and Xrpl, this kind of joint study that they did on decoding central bank digital currencies, which I had not seen before, just randomly kind of stumbled upon it today right before this video. Regardless of any of that, I would like to say that I think that the cryptocurrency market is certainly at kind of a pivotal place right now. If you're looking at just Bitcoin, and I know that this is not the most popular thing to do, but it's the asset with the most history in this space. It's currently still the most liquid asset, and it kind of is gauging where this market is going to go. If Bitcoin is bullish, usually the rest of the market is bullish, et cetera, until something usurps Bitcoin, which I think that you guys all know that I believe is going to happen at some point in the future as well. We're kind of, we've been in this bear flag since June 13th, and we're still kind of floating right within this. Now, I haven't made any personal moves since probably in these first 5 weeks or so. Maybe a couple of things. I think with this candle here on July 25th, I think I bought some Aleph Zero, not financial advice, around 82 or 83 cents, whatever that might have been. But other than that, I'm kind of waiting for confirmation. Where is Bitcoin going to go? What is it going to do? Is it going to break down? Is it going to break up? You guys all know my opinion. And I have to give a huge shout out to Crypto Crew University along with some other TA guys. I do believe that the bottom is in, just literally zooming out and looking historically at where, these prices normally go during bear markets, et cetera. Another thing to be cognizant of real quick, and I know I'll move on from this, but, looking at reconfirmation of bottoms, and even if you're not a TA guru or if you don't believe in it, you can see synergy where, 476 days from November 2018 until March of 2020 to kind of reclaim this. This wasn't a bottom. This was kind of like the candle bottom here for capitulation that we kind of wicked down to and touched. That took 476 days, 224 days from essentially January 2015 to August 2015. And it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. I definitely should be watching this right now. I'm not really making any decisions right now. If we break above this, fantastic, and we claim this as support. What is interesting, though, is that, if you're looking at the total crypto market cap, and this is one of the reasons that another reason that I in my opinion, that the bottom was probably already in. Seeing a total crypto market cap of like 770 or 800 billion, which was basically the previous bull market's all-time high, so early 2018. Knowing how much digital assets are going to actually swallow within the real-world economy, knowing that an $800 billion market cap for all of crypto and digital assets is a drop in the friggin' pan, and not really believing that we can go very, very much lower than that from a total market standpoint is kind of one of the reasons where I look for, confirmation bias in multiple different aspects. And that's kind of the reason that I believe that, another reason that I believe the bottom has probably already been in. That's not to say that I'm right. Who knows? We could go way lower, but it'll be interesting to see what happens if Bitcoin gets rejected and maybe we fall back down a little bit. Will the total market cap face a little bit of resistance as well and maybe reclaim this, let's say $990 billion or $1 trillion level as support, a red candle that comes down to the top of this, blue bear flag right here, which broke to the upside, obviously, and claim this as support. But I want to talk about this. So this just came out over the past day or so, taking digital currencies offline. Now, this is from the International Monetary Fund. If you're not aware, obviously, the International Monetary Fund deals in tons of initiatives globally as far as finance is concerned. One of the main things is the SDR, or special drawing rights, a basket of currencies. It is essentially the major currencies that exist worldwide. IMF is involved in all sorts of different things as far as, emergency relief within different nations, et cetera, but they certainly have their hand in the pie as far as where digitization goes, certainly with the regulation frameworks and everything else as well. But they're talking about Internet-free access may be a make-or-break feature of central bank digital currencies. And older systems are talking about, but they're also mentioning offline digital currencies. Offline digital payment systems could verify availability of funds and validate transactions without the need to check in with an online ledger. I will let you guys go onto IMF's website. It's right on the main page of their website. If you go through here, you can see that it's the first thing that pops up here. Old school type stuff, 10 months ago, XRP ledger payments could go offline with a new proof of payments protocol. This is through XPOP, which is this is Xrpl Labs, obviously. Proof of payments as presented by Richard at the Apex Dev Summit location, etc., etc. XPOP generates an animated QR containing everything needed for offline XRP ledger transaction proofs. So kind of in synergy with what the IMF is saying as far as offline payments. Now, one thing I did want to mention is if you look at kind of some of the misinterpretations about the XRP ledger running offline. This is a misinterpretation. Did you know that the XRP ledger can run offline? If a cyber attack, this is what the IMF actually talks about within this as well, is war or cyber attack occurring. Let me see if I can get to that. Hang on one second. Yep. Oh, it's definitely in here. Yeah, what will happen when the web goes down in a war or a natural disaster, et cetera, et cetera? What about the 75% of the world's adult low-income population that doesn't even have internet access? And, there's a comment here from Linda Jones. Did you know that the XRP ledger can run offline? If a cyber attack takes it down from banks, it can still operate. Obviously, we've got Nick Bougalis basically coming in and saying, if a cyber attack takes down banks, the XRPL can still operate just like any other decentralized blockchain. But the XRP ledger cannot run offline. And then you made the claim, et cetera, et cetera. So there's obviously always misinterpretations in this space. I think that everybody just doing their due diligence and understanding how the ledger actually works. And the XPOP aspect is certainly interesting as well. But I wanted to give a shout out to Hedera within this because this is a Wall Street Journal. This came out today. Crypto market turmoil highlights personal risks for compliance chiefs. And big shout out to Hedera because the chief regulatory, the CRO at Hedera Hashgraph, which operates the public blockchain network Hedera with the HBAR cryptocurrency, said compliance chiefs also need to make sure they have a supportive board and fellow executives behind them. It's just big to see, Hedera right alongside, essentially, BitGo. You see right alongside BNY Mellon, right alongside Coinbase, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and even right here, Goldman Sachs, Anchorage Digital. So Hedera is right along that group. So Richard Sherman continuing to make waves. It's so amazing to me that you have literally a congressman just being so blatantly, I don't know if it's incentivized. It probably is incentivized. I mean, we did that deep dive into that democracy oversight or empowered democracy that Richard Sherman was like one of his biggest campaign contributors, saying that Ripple is set to lose the legal battle against the SEC. I mean, it's just, to me, is so unprofessional that you have congressmen literally weighing in on issues that the SEC is dealing with, let alone the fact that we've seen all of kind of the craziness going on with whatever you would consider ETHgate craziness to be, etc. World Gold Council executive believes blockchain technology will bolster trust in the gold industry, which I found pretty interesting as well today. And this is just, I mean, it's not really, to me, it's not really that game changing with that type of an announcement, but it's interesting because it's just more of the same rhetoric where, we talk about these trustless systems. We talk about, ledgers, essentially being so efficient that they allow for trust without even having to allow for trust because of transparency. And it's just the way that this goes with blockchain, DLT, and things like Hashgraph in the future. Everything is going to be kind of on that level playing field. But last but not least, I found this extremely, I never saw this before. Decoding CBDCs. A practical guide to a CBDC design and implementation. This is presented by Currency Research and Lipus Advisors, and the report series is in partnership with Ripple, Hedera Hashgraph, and Prosper US. Now, if you go down through here, I want to give you guys my opinion on federated sidechains within the XRP ledger. But you can see Ripple is currently engaged globally with central banks on CBDC projects. These include Royal Monetary Authority of Bhutan, Republic of Palau. With Ripple's CBDC private ledger, central banks can manage the CBDC life cycle, offering these benefits, etc., etc. Then it goes into Hedera as well. It goes into Prosper US. Certainly all things that we should be looking at. It talks about infrastructures, Algorand, AWS, Hyperledger, Corda, Stellar, Hedera, Ripple. Talks about solutions providers, MTech, which is Project New Dawn, which is certainly tied into Hedera Hashgraph, Bit, Ripple, Prosper US, etc., etc. But this table right here was very interesting to me because it talks about a comparison of select distributed ledger technology networks available for use in CBDC pilot/implementation. Types of infrastructure under Ripple is sidechain of the public XRP ledger. Now, I don't know if I'm right, and I'll leave you guys with this, but I believe very much so that federated sidechains on the Xrpl are tied in very deeply into the privacy initiatives or the private version of the ledger that we're seeing these CBDC initiatives launch on. And I think federated sidechains are going to essentially be these private ledgers for these central banks. Number one, on a federated sidechain, it's essentially like you are launching a brand new layer one network. You might have some of the infrastructure and the basis that the Xrpl represents as far as what you can build upon from whenever that snapshot occurs. That might be a bad way of putting it, but there's going to be a tool set that is kind of there, whatever snapshot of the XRP ledger in its nascent state whenever whenever federated sidechains launch. But I think very much so that these federated sidechains are going to be launched and built basically for the use case of central bank digital currencies, because to launch a federated sidechain in a sufficient way, you better have a shit ton of money to be able to stand up validators and try to decentralize that network as much as possible. Or if you're a bank or a central bank and you already have a shit ton of money and a huge node infrastructure that's built out already from all the other banks tied into your bank, what do you think that means from a federated sidechain standpoint? It's almost like the perfect use case for CBDCs to stand alone on their own layer one. They're using the Xrpl. They're using all the functionality and use cases within the Xrpl. They can add privacy initiatives into that as well as a federated sidechain. But they don't have to necessarily worry too much about cost or standing up validators because they already have the node infrastructure built from a banking standpoint. Computers validating the network, right? And they already have the money to be able to make sure that those nodes can validate network transactions in a sufficient way and transparent amongst those banking organizations as well. That's my opinion on federated sidechains. I'm not saying that publicly there's not going to be projects launching on them, but I think few and far between, because essentially that's going to be like you launching your own layer one, and it's not like you're using the tool set that already exists and you're using a native asset, all this stuff. You have to stand up a decentralized infrastructure or whatever that validation infrastructure looks like on a federated sidechain for it to be able to run efficiently, right? And I think it's a perfect use case for these central banks and for CBDCs as well. You can see access, private permissioned, et cetera, run through all this stuff down here. But, just getting back into the groove of this, guys, today. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Certainly have not seen this document, though, before. Maybe I have and I just forgot about it. But, oh, wait, hold on. Let me see here. Because ISO 20022, Ripple CBDC, ISO 20022, permission sidechain of the Xrpl, Codify, yes. This is consensus, yeah. Hedera, oh, shit. Okay, I was wrong. It looks like Hedera's consensus service does have tie-ins to ISO 20022. Wow. I did that interview with Christian Hasker probably a couple of months ago and asked a question, and he basically had mentioned, we haven't seen a Hedera or they're called HIPs, Hedera improvement proposal to verify not interoperability, but that at least whatever Hedera has a consensus service, a token service, and EVM, right? Those are the three products under Hedera. The consensus service looks to be ISO 20022 interoperable through MTech, which is Project New Dawn, which is basically a digital dollar. One of the initiatives through MTech that Hedera is building on. Long story short, it looks like Hedera's consensus service can definitely operate on top of ISO 20022, probably through the infrastructure that MTech has built out. So interesting. Just literally saw that today while I was doing this video. So Hedera's consensus service can tie in definitively into ISO 20022. Interoperability. The things that we find as we're trying to do deep dives in these discussions. So maybe I'll change my video title to Hedera Consensus plus ISO 20022. Man, I mean, I'm just trying to put the work in for you guys, as usual. Wanted to give a shout out to everybody. I put out a tweet Friday. My wife has been going through some hard stuff recently, so everybody that sent out, a little bit of support there, that's great as well. This is definitely news to me. ISO 20022 interoperability. It looks like the solution can be utilized with the Hedera Consensus service, and that solution is MTEX, Central Bank Digital Currency Infrastructure. So there you go. Hedera Consensus Service is ISO 20022 or can be ISO 20022 interoperable. And the first use case that we've seen within that is MTEX Cbdc infrastructure. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's always fun finding stuff like literally in the middle of a video. So I'll talk to you guys when I talk to you. Bye.